Art of photography. What does that mean essentially to people who are not into photography or want to know about it, right? Art photography is memories, nostalgic, um, capturing a moment, right? Um, a lot of people see only photography as just pictures, right? And when you do that, you devalue the actual art of photography. And it's easy to do that. You're like, oh, that's just a picture, right? But you don't know what the photographer had to go through to get that picture, right? To actually go get it and make sure the sun was set a certain way or the water was creaking very, very, very in a way that was just so beautiful that you have to capture it in that moment. And a lot of people don't understand that process, right? And because as a fellow photographer, photography is one of the most underrated art forms out there. There's nothing you can, I mean, obviously everyone loves photo shoots, right? I mean, everybody wants a photo shoot, especially if you're into business or you're into YouTube or whatever. You want a photo shoot. However, the way photography is looked upon as if it's easy and everyone can do it. And that's not always the case. Not everyone can do photography. Photography is not for everybody, but um, it is a skill that is something, that you imagine uh, to be a picture that someone can look at and say, dang, this reminds me of something, or this makes me feel blah, or this makes me whatever the situation may be, right? And photography can speak just like a painting can speak, or like food can speak, right? Food speaks to everybody. We all connect with food in a specific way. It's the same thing with photography. There are arts in all of those things, right? And you know, people just have to take that art form a lot more serious, in my opinion, because it's not as easy, as people might think it is. It's not just pushing a button. It's not. There's a whole art. There's a whole science. There's a whole blueprint. Everything you need to know about photography, you literally have to learn. It's that. It's literally that. Um, Photography uh, can get you anything you want, as the great Peter McKinnon would say. Um, who Peter McKinnon is a Canadian photographer who I would consider the greatest photographer of all time. Um, uh, and he's also a YouTuber as well, and he has completely dissected the craft of photography like no one has ever done. I think in the history of photography, he's really dope. He's just, it's he's so he's so talented and skillful at what he does, and it inspires me, right? It inspires me to become a better photographer, to be inspired, and I just love watching his videos and stuff. Um, and but anyway, essentially, he titled the video "Photography Can Get You Anything You Want," right? And essentially, what the video was about was this car that he was taking photos of that he genuinely wanted. Like he wanted it, and he was in the States or whatever have you, and had to get it back to Canada, whatever the case may be. He still wanted it. He didn't care about the extra whatever. And the guy, he was talking to the guy about it, like just casually, like, if you ever saw his car, I'm buying this car. Like just saying, like he would love to buy it. And the guy was so impressed with Peter and his facade and how he creates his photography and all these other things that he just sold him the car right there in the video. And um, it's a very good lesson that photography can get you anything you want, right? Because that's how people notice your photography. Like you can be posting one picture and it takes one, not even a celebrity, but someone who has a lot of viewership that will genuinely want to make sure that you win. They're like, oh, this guy's a good photographer, or this female's a good photographer. Let's put her on the team. And yeah, like that is real, right? And that can eventually get you into these big studios doing photo shoots for, I don't know, movie companies and all these things. Like as a person who does photography, eventually I want to get in directing, uh, uh, writing movies. I want to act as well, but directing mostly. Uh, Photography and and acting slash directing are two crafts that I think can go really hand in hand together, right? And you know, maybe in my future, that's what is the fate. That's what the Lord wants me to do. Because that's what I genuinely do. I've been wanting to do that since I was a kid. Like my auntie, she grew up in a time where movies were like a thing, right? Because they didn't have social media. They didn't have what we had, right? So you had to be at the TV, sitting, laying down, watching a movie. So she grew up with all these great movies that she collected over the years as she got older. She used to have this DVD player. And I must have watched every single movie that she had. And she had, I'm not even joking, she had at least 150 to 200. I watched every single movie there. And there are certain movies that I gravitated towards as a young kid that I could quote still to this day. I'm 18 years old now, but I can still quote, it's the love of directing. And you know, the reason I'm into photography is because of Peter Parker, my favorite superhero, which is one of the movies she had, Toby, which is my favorite Spider-Man. We can go on about your favorite. Toby is my favorite. Tom is the most complete, I'll be honest. And Andrew had redemption with Gwen, but that's for another one. That's for another one. Reason I got into photography is because Peter Parker works for the Daily View as a photographer, and I thought it was sick because it's so unique to be a superhero, and they wouldn't expect you to like like have uh have those quality photos. Like if I was a superhero, I wouldn't even think to put no camera on top of no building. I would put it so far down that you barely could see me. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even think like that. But Peter thought like that, which was creative. And they were wondering, how did you get these pictures? Oh, maybe I don't know, maybe it's Spider-Man. But that is the main reason why I'm into photography, tweaking, into photography. Another reason, shout out Zach, Pastor Zach, well, former pastor, not pastor anymore. He was one of my pastors a couple years back, who was a photographer, still is a photographer, works for a Bugle and everything. Inspired me because I would see what he posts on Instagram. I'm like, dude, this is fire. Like, this is like, I want a camera. And I was literally texting, I was like, I'm thinking about getting photography because you, man. And he was like, go all out for it. So I did, man. Beginning of 2020, so I bought a Canon EOS 4000D, and that is my baby since this day. I know it's not one of those great cameras, but it actually has instilled a form of work ethic and a form of like, yeah, you don't have that top tier camera, but you're going to work towards that with what you have now. You know what I'm saying? And and it's all about. It's not even about the equipment; it's about mentality, and that's in everything. That's not just in photography. That's in sports. That's in clothing. That's in food. Whatever your mentality is, to no matter the circumstance or what's going on around you, this is the end goal. Like, I'm gonna get this done, right? Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, rest in peace. To one of the greatest players to ever live. He didn't allow circumstance to stop him, right? And you know, he wasn't. You couldn't say no to Kobe when it came to the game of basketball or just to the game of life, because uh, we always talk about him as a player, but we don't talk about him as a human. He was going to work hard in anything he did. That's the truth. Kobe was going to work hard in anything he did, not just basketball, right? Because he was writing books, he was producing, he was doing all these kind of things uh, before his passing that could all be inspiring to us. Even if you didn't watch him play basketball, you can say, this dude is legit, right? Because he did a lot. Like, he did a lot in his lifetime, and it's so inspiring. So you can take it out the same mentality in whatever craft you're doing. For me, it's photography, right? Just because I have a certain camera that's not top tier, hey man, it's about mentality. It's about, yes, I don't have the best camera, but I can take a good photo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel so confident and deep in that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was the first video. The art of photography. Like, comment, and subscribe. Braylon Photography. Uh, we getting lit, man. We just grinding over here. 18 years old, fresh. Let's get lit, man. God bless you guys. Hey, holla at your boy.